All right, everybody, John here, and today I want to talk a little bit about arthritis, more importantly, knee arthritis, and 5 things I would love everybody with arthritis to know. All right, A, it's not reversible. B, you're not your image. Okay, so I don't care what your X-rays or your MRI show. Okay, C, strength training is absolutely necessary. There are things you can do to mitigate the effects of arthritis. D, mobility drills will also help. So maintaining motion at specific joints, not just the joint that's affected, but other joints around it. And lastly, don't stop moving. Right? A lot of people think that I have arthritis, I need to do less, otherwise it's going to make it worse. And I'll be honest, while I understand where you're coming from and I can appreciate the need to really be careful with what kind of activity you do, rest assured you do need to keep moving. Okay, so those are the 5 pieces of advice that I really love to give everybody that comes in the clinic with arthritis. Now, I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, oh, I have arthritis, or I'm bone on bone, or the joint's not moving and it's stiff, and I really can't do X, Y, or Z, even though I used to love to, or I can't go up and down stairs anymore. So, the list is endless as far as the common phrases that we hear from people that have been affected by osteoarthritis. And now again, we're talking specifically about the knee here, right? Largest joint by surface area, takes all the weight bearing, a majority of the joint takes the weight bearing. And so it's a very common sight when it comes to knee arthritis, osteoarthritis, and mechanical breakdown, okay? So it is genetic, right? There are cases where osteoarthritis has a genetic predisposition in a particular individual, okay? There can also be mechanical causes of excessive wear and tear and breakdown on that cartilage surface for the knee, right? So, but regardless of either of those, it's not reversible. It's not going anywhere, okay? So we need to kind of get that out of our head that, it can be fixed. And I'll be honest, it really depends on the extent to which you have it and the location of the arthritis, but it is not reversible, but we can mitigate its effects, okay? So that's the first thing. Number 2 is you are not your image, okay? I don't care what your X-ray shows, or the MRI, there have been phenomenal studies that are done. One of them is 2020, that shows that MRIs and imaging really have no direct bearing on pain or dysfunction or limitations for an individual, okay? There were other studies that were done. I think it was about 5,400 knees in general were looked at through imaging, and individuals above the age of 40 were asymptomatic in 19 to 43% of those knees, all right, of the individuals above 40. So that's pretty powerful. The range was anywhere from 19% of knees studied in individuals over 43 all the way up to 43%. That's almost half. Okay, and that's a pretty powerful statistic. There are also studies that have been done where individuals who had a complaint of pain in one knee, they x-rayed or radiographed both knees, and the knee that looked worse on the image was actually much less painful or completely asymptomatic compared to the painful knee that brought them into the office or have them go seek that visit to begin with. So again, these are really powerful studies that just tell us your image doesn't paint the whole picture. We usually look at clinical presentation, function, baseline strength, activity levels, desires, things like that. But the image alone does not paint nearly a good enough picture for us to be able to come up with a plan of care or determine any kind of outcome for that individual. So you are not your image, okay? Number 3, strength training is absolutely necessary. If you do have arthritis in an area, whether it's genetic or mechanical, chances are you've had some discomfort, okay? And you've actually lost some strength in that area because pain usually causes disuse for an area. That's just one of the things that we do to protect a body part that's bothering us. So chances are you'll benefit from significant strength training. Strength training can also help stabilize a joint and prevent excessive mechanical wear and tear, right? So if we're talking about the knee, a lot of people hyperfixate on just the knee joint itself, but in reality, it's really important to take a look at the joints below and above it, so the ankle and the hip. And we know that weakness in either of those areas can cause excessive stress and poor function of the knee joint itself. Now, the knee is a basic hinge, and weakness above or below it can cause a difference in ideal mechanics at the knee. So if you're having some knee arthritis, but you also have some other low-hanging fruit in terms of ankle dysfunction and weakness, or hip dysfunction and weakness, that can absolutely play a role in helping increase your current status and mitigating the effects of that arthritis. And if you have a mechanical cause of dysfunction, well, it can help stave off, further injury or further breakdown of that joint itself. So strength training is absolutely important and can absolutely help maintain whatever baseline strength you do have left, and then increase that baseline for yourself to get you back to either up and down the stairs, being active, squatting down, going to the gym, all the common complaints that we tend to find with something like knee osteoarthritis. Number 4 is mobility drills can also help. What else do we find with a lot of pain? Along with disuse and you get weakness, disuse breeds stiffness in a joint. We need a nice viscous amount of viscous type of fluid and significant joint fluid in the major joints of the body to keep them running properly and working properly. Think of oil in your car engine, okay? So when you move more, you're actually signaling your body's joint capsules around those joints to release more joint fluid and also keep the joint fluid that's already there healthier. Through disuse, you actually get less joint fluid released, you get less joint health, and a lot of the overall joint gets compromised. So not just the muscles and the tendons on the outside, but the joint capsule itself and the fluid within the joint becomes compromised. So you can see how pain will cause somebody to protect an area and use it less. And then that disuse just kind of starts this cascade of events where you get weaker, the joint gets stiffer, and because it's stiff and you're not using it, overall joint health becomes more compromised, and then it becomes harder to do your basic functions, then it becomes even more painful, and you can see how that cycle just continues. So, number 3 and 4, strength is important to maintain and increase, as well as joint mobility. Is really important to maintain overall health of the joint. So those are really important to keep in mind. And the last thing is don't stop moving. All right, so that kind of brings together all those first 4 points that I just talked about. But ultimately, disuse breeds more disuse, and disuse is catabolic for tissue, meaning disuse will only increase the breakdown of whatever tissues you're not using. Right? If you don't use it, you lose it. That's that age-appropriate adage there, right? So in terms of a function, we want people to keep moving. We tell people, don't stop moving. Don't stop going up and down stairs, because the world around you is not a single level. I want you to maintain stress on that area, because otherwise you're just going to lose strength overall, and you're just going to put yourself behind the 8 ball. So we really don't like hearing people, kind of get discouraged or dissuaded from activity just because they're told they have arthritis, whether it's, mild or moderate, or they're told on an x-ray that it looks bad. Now, I'm not talking about severe cases, and there are absolutely cases where activity is contraindicated for certain areas where there's significant pain, and there really is no alternative than having to go through some sort of procedure, okay? What I'm talking about are a lot of the mild and moderate cases where there's a lot of low-hanging fruit that the patient can still pick and increase their overall status, either decreasing pain or improving function, and at the very least maintaining some happiness in their day-to-day life where they don't have to get discouraged from doing the basic, simplest of tasks. So those are really the 5 things that I wanted to talk about, 5 things that I wish everybody would know when it comes to that term arthritis, and again, specifically knee arthritis for this, for this conversation. It's not reversible, all right, but what does that mean for us? You're not your image, all right, so I don't care what it says or what it looks like. I care more about how you feel and what your function is and what we can improve. Strength training is absolutely necessary. Mobility drills are absolutely necessary, and we don't want you to stop moving, okay? So really, really important take-home messages, we think. So, we'd love to hear from you. I hope if you've suffered from this in the past, you've either had some success or maybe this might steer you in the right direction. And if you have any questions on that, please let us know. Either give us a shout out in the comments, feel free to get in touch with us, give us a buzz, write us an email, drop us a line on social media. But whatever it is, we'd love to hear from you. We'd also love to have your support and your following so we can get more of these kind of videos out to you. So that's it for today. 5 things about osteoarthritis of the knee that we really want you to know. So keep moving, everybody, and see you next time.